Probably to no surprise here, direct brands, they're born to disrupt. The stories start off probably, what you've heard before. Someone walks into a room, walks into a store, finds the product too expensive, finds the service too inefficient, doesn't enjoy the experience, and says, I'm going to go disrupt this thing. What we found by talking to the founders is it goes much deeper than that. So yes, it starts that way, but the vision extends beyond simply saying we're just going to go do something slightly better. There's a far deeper vision that's within there. And what they do, we found is, as Jesse mentioned yesterday, is a lot of the backgrounds come from finance, consulting, these types of industries where they almost lock themselves up in a room for several months. Learn, test, learn, and they come out with something very, very different on the other side. I call it this concept of and, right? It's this view that you can be both value and premium. Now, we all have seen in the traditional space, value brands are very, very distinct, very, very clear. If you're going shopping at an H&M or Zara, you know what the experience is like. You know you're going to get a great price for the clothes, but you know that you're going to have to push your way probably through a few people to get what you want. Clothes are everywhere, lineups for the dressing rooms, things of this nature, but you're getting the value product. And on the other end, if you're walking into a Tiffany's to buy a piece of jewelry, you get to enjoy some champagne along for the ride. I think this is what makes these brands very, very different. And I think Warby Parker is a perfect example of when they first burst out onto the scene. What you saw with Warby Parker was they came in at a price point, that's about 1/3 of the prevailing price that you'll find for subscription lenses. So therefore, there must be a value brand. But what they did is they spent an ordeal amount of time making sure that the lenses were crafted in the most meticulously designed way. Even the naming conventions of the lenses were very, very specific and particular. The boxing mechanism of which it comes in creates a very, very different shopping environment. I don't have to rush. I can now sit in the comfort of my home, try on the lenses, see how I feel, and when I'm ready, send back the ones I don't want. They then replicated this with their store footprint as well. So all of a sudden, you're creating this value-based brand with a premium feel to it. So I think as we've learned over the course of this, and you see the amount of logos out on the walls outside, they are in every aisle. And if you take a look at the distribution of the folks we talked to, it's very clear that they're there. So even those incumbents that feel that they may have some specialty in and around the engineering, their process, their supply chain, these brands are going after everything. I think in the past month alone, what I've seen is new brands have emerged around strollers, which is near and dear to my heart for overpaying for that. You see it in adult diapers, eyewear specifically geared towards children, eco-friendly swimsuits, and even mirrors. And for those of you who've been following, those new fitness mirrors. So if your mirror doesn't do fitness, you're probably in trouble. All right, we're going to start getting into some of perhaps the more surprising findings. So I think up until now, it's been pretty obvious of how we begin and get going. To me, this one was very, very surprising for me, is that just how direct brands prioritize profitability. If you think about the average tech startup, it's all about let's burn through the cash, let's get as many subscribers and customers as sales as we possibly can to prove that we have a product. Direct brands behave quite differently. I think one of the more interesting sessions I sat in yesterday, Rishi was talking about his own experience of they launched a new marketing campaign over at Bespoke Post, and what they found was they were getting a ton of new customers into the start of the funnel and actually converting and becoming customers, but they weren't the customers that he wanted. They were churning off really quickly as they were looking at the LTV. They realized these weren't the best customers to keep. So he deliberately added friction into the sign-on process, which is probably unheard of in the tech world, to create friction to weed people out that may not become your best customers. I found this very, very fascinating in terms of how do you think about profitability as a direct brand. And as you see on the board, 25% of the folks we talked to were already profitable today. And as 90% say they want to be profitable in the next 2 years. Whether that's going to happen or not is, remains to be seen. But you see just how they prioritize profitability in kind of the day-to-day business.